I think the solution is so simple, it probably is more complicated than I'm thinking, but just having harsher disciplinary actions for people who have created unsafe environments at chess tournaments.
Hmm.
I can think of a few high-profile players who have displayed violent tendencies at tournaments or who have, like, stalked and harassed people in a very public way, and they get these very, like, slap on the wrist type of punishments for it, which I think is just pathetic. Like, I think a couple months of not being able to play in tournaments is just, like, a laughable thing, for a lot of
Hmm.
these cases.
Welcome, everyone, to the Chess Equity Project interview series. Today, I am very pleased to interview Kamryn Hellman. She is a very experienced YouTuber and streamer. She is over 2000chess.com. She has been on Perpetual Chess twice, Chess Journeys 3 times. She's got a course on Chessable, the 50 Essential Chess Concepts, an improver's blueprint, and she is an excellent teacher. She's got a lot of improver content on her YouTube channel, and we're very pleased to have her. Welcome, Kamryn. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me and for the lovely intro. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Great. Well, so you sort of rocketed into the chess consciousness with your that first video of yours that got really popular, the how I accidentally got to 2000, something like that.
Yes.
But even that was 3 years ago, wasn't it? Wasn't that
Y
23?
yes, I think so. Maybe was it it might have been 22 actually.
Okay.
2022? I don't even know. That's how that's how long ago it seems.
No, so then you've been doing your channel for at least that long. What what got you started into it? What's your chess background? How did it all begin?
Yeah, so I started playing in I believe it was 2021 after watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix, like, thousands of other people did.
Oh yeah.
Which I will just say the testament to the power of storytelling because I was very inspired just by this like awesome lone woman competing against all the guys.
Oh yeah.
But when I
It's
was
very
watching it,
inspiring.
yes, yes, I didn't even know how the pieces moved. And I wanted to because first of all, I just wanted to understand the show better, but it quickly became a bit of an obsession. So I taught myself with online videos and other resources and started playing online. And within a year, I got my chess.com rating up to about 1200, which is about the time that I decided I wanted to go to a club so I could talk to other people about chess. Like I wanted that community aspect because none of my family or friends played chess and I wanted to be able to talk to people about it. So I went to my local club, was very graciously welcomed in, and shortly after that I started competing in over the board tournaments, also helping out with like coaching beginner kids and helping out at kids tournaments and clubs and things like that. And then, yeah, like you said, it was about 2 years after I started playing. So it must have been 2023. Um,
Okay.
I my is when my rating reached 2000. I put out that video, started my YouTube channel, and I'm still competing in rated tournaments. Still helping out with kids clubs and tournaments, and even this last year, I started a girls club in my city that meets once a month, which has been really fun. So just kind of continually trying to be involved in my local community as well as continuing to put out that educational content on my channel. Um, yeah, it's been a great time.
That's fantastic. So, just so listeners know, you're in North Dakota, right? Bismarck, is that where you're at?
Yes.
Has that always been home? Is that where you grew up?
Yep. Yep. I grew up here, middle of
Okay.
nowhere.
Well, I love that even in the middle of nowhere, there's a chess club, and everyone is welcoming there. So that's great. When you
Yes.
first went, I mean, what's your estimate of the breakdown, men versus women? Are there a lot of women in the club?
No. I,
Okay, no surprise.
yeah, at my club, I'm often the only woman that shows up. We usually have like 2 or 3 classical tournaments in the state a year, and there will be, I think this last state tournament, there were 4 of us out of the 40 or 50 people.
Okay.
Um, which yeah, the percentages kind of balance out to what you see nationally and internationally because there's less than 100 rated players in the state of North Dakota anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, it's definitely been. I'm often the only woman in the room. We'll just say that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's a story we hear a lot. I think yeah, that's very common. How has that been? I mean, has it been a challenge, or have people been cool?
Yeah, people are generally very welcoming. I would say like over the board especially and the people I've met online, but it's just been overwhelmingly positive. Like I wouldn't still be doing it if the negatives outweighed the positives.
Sure. Good.
And I think at the beginning it was a little bit more intimidating to show up and like just kind of feel like I'm being an outsider. Um, but it's definitely gotten easier over time. Um, I think the times that I'm like most aware of the fact that I'm the only woman there is often when I am playing in over the board tournaments or playing at a club. My
Mm.
club meets in a mall, and so there's like constantly people walking by, and there'll be comments like the old people who are just like, "Oh, is she beating you?" And it's more funny than anything.
Yeah.
But
They
it's
mean
definitely
well, but they notice.
they do notice, yes, and it reminds me that it's like, oh yeah, I'm clearly different. I'm constantly being watched, which is fine, and it's something that you just kind of have to get used to. I try to lean into the idea of like being a good role model, not just for like little girls who might be seeing me like playing at the top boards in my state, but also for like everybody, like other women, for the men, for the little boys as well. Um, just to show that it's like, yeah, there's this phenomenon that I forget. I think there's a term for it, but I've heard other women talk about the feeling that like when you're playing and you're the only woman in the tournament or one of very few, you're not just
Yeah.
playing and representing yourself. The way that you play is like representing women as a whole,
Hmm.
and that can be a positive or negative thing. It's like the idea of being a good role model. That's like a positive spin on it. But then I feel like I often beat myself up a little bit extra when I make a silly mistake or something because it's like, is that reflecting on, you know, the way that people view women in chess? So that can be a difficulty of it, but yeah, just kind of learning to deal with the fact that there's a lot of eyes on me.
Yeah. Stereotype threat is, I think, the phrase you might be looking
Yes,
for. Yeah.
I think so.
And yeah, and conversely, I mean, this isn't just a chess thing. It applies lots of places, but stereotype lift is the opposite. So that's what I think maybe a lot of men feels like coming into a space, sort of expecting that you'll naturally be good at it because society has taught you that, yeah, you should be, even if it's not true. Just that's the stereotype. Um, yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that that extra level of responsibility or pressure of being representing all women is, um, it's going okay. It's not too much of a burden. Um, and I think and honestly, I think it comes across even in your channel. I mean, you seem to really have taken to leadership and teaching. I mean, um, yeah, I mean, it comes across like pretty naturally. Um, is that something that you sort of like have always wanted to do or felt came naturally, like be a teacher or be a leader, kind of be in charge?
Yeah, in some ways. I One of my first jobs was um I worked as an after school program like counselor basically. And so I
Mm,
was leading a lot of like kids, especially in, art projects or whatever, just like little activities. And so the shift when you know, got a different job after COVID kind of shut everything down.
mm,
The shift to like kind of doing that same sort of teaching role in an online space and in like a activity that I was like really passionate about. It did kind of seem to come more naturally. Um, and it's also like it's a public speaking thing, which I have also had a lot of experience with, like in high school and things like that. So, um, yeah, I think
mm,
that part of it did come naturally. And when I was creating my YouTube channel, I was like very conscious of the way that it was sort of being the way that I was shaping the content that I was putting out, like I wanted it to be family friendly. I wanted it to be mainly educational, because I for various reasons, mainly just because I thought that's what I could bring to the table.
Mm,
Um, but also I think a lot of like the larger female content creators were mainly putting out like more
mm,
entertainment content, which is great. Like, people playing like the chess hustlers or something.
yeah.
Amazing content. And honestly, like it's some of my favorite to watch. And like that gave me the courage to like go to a chess club myself. So like not to knock that kind of entertaining content at all, but I think a
Yeah.
lot of in that more educational space in chess, it was a lot of men. And the idea of like a little girl sitting down to like learn from a stinky old grandmaster, I'm like, maybe they just want a young woman to look at. I don't know. It's so there's that part of it too, that it was like just trying to carve my little niche and find the place where I could bring the best content to the table.
No, I think it's great. No, it's definitely like forward looking, and you've surveyed the space, and there are so few women out there that it probably isn't too hard to survey the space. I mean, I could probably name most of the big ones pretty quickly, and I'm sure you could
Yeah.
too. Um, yeah, no, I think it's great because, I mean, you mentioned that there might be some young girls out there who might look up to you and might prefer a woman to teach them. And I think from research, that is something that we know is true, that um, that young girls do prefer women to teach them, especially, well, in chess. I don't know about other things, but and that is one of the barriers that we have in the community um, to women really becoming top players is coaching, is a lack of coaching.
Mm.
And especially like, I mean, it's a little bit less true now, but I mean, think back in the day, like coaches would travel with the students to competitions. I'm a generation older than you, so for me, it wasn't Queen's Gambit. For me, it was Searching for Bobby Fischer in the
Oh yeah.
'90s,
Great movie.
and Bruce Pandolfini travels with the kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, as a girl dad, I would never let my girls travel with a man. I mean,
Right.
they
Exactly.
could be they could be a grandmaster. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so
Just
yeah, so I mean, so having women coaches, having women leaders, it's very important. Who did you look up to when you were coming up? Did you have mentors or did you have role models?
yeah, a lot of
I mean,
mine.
who were they? I'm sure everybody does, but who were they, I guess?
Yes, when I think of like the um the people in my community, I'll start there, have been really great role models for me, and they're amazing. They go to bat for me. They've given me so many great resources. Like I cracked open my first ever chess book after I started going to the club. Before that, I'd only done like online videos and stuff. And so like that was just, it was them kind of pushing me along, raising my level, if you will.
Hmm.
And I'll shout out Todd Wolf specifically. He runs the chess. He does everything chess in North Dakota. He travels around to all the schools in the state, and we have a lot of like small town schools. He goes out to all of them and does chess clinics, and he's gotten a ton of kids interested in chess. And he runs basically all the scholastic tournaments, and I've been grateful enough to be kind of under his tutelage, uh learning how to run these kind of tournaments and how this whole system works. And yeah, he's been an amazing mentor to me. um, and yeah, like I
Awesome.
said, a lot of those guys are at the club are just like just amazing. They're my biggest cheerleaders, I'll say. And then as far as like, my larger, role models in the world, I do love, the Judith Polgar documentary recently came out, and she's always been like a big hero of mine, just because she and her sisters broke down a lot of barriers.
Hmm.
Not that long ago, which, watching that documentary, I was like, that's crazy that it was so recent that, women weren't allowed to play in the men's tournaments. Like, just learning about that chess history has been like really eye opening for me. Um, and
Yeah.
then a more recent player, I think, too, in just like that space too, is Jennifer Shahadi has been yeah, just amazing. And she's done so many various things. But I reached out to her a couple years ago, looking for help on like a project I was working on for grad school, and she was very gracious and like responding to me. So that's been like a big, um, yeah, she's been a great role model as well, just in terms of like engaging with the community and like standing up for herself in various ways and being a great teacher, all those things.
Yeah, that's pretty much my list too, honestly. I don't know Todd Wolf, but yeah, shout out to Todd Wolf. I can think of a guy. I'm in Portland, Oregon, so I can think
Mm,
of a couple people here in Oregon that I would are the Todd Wolfs of Oregon. So that's great to have somebody local doing that. Um, and yeah, I mean, obviously Judith is common. I mean, she's so iconic, so legendary.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, and Jen Shahadi, she's just a queen. She's a force of nature.
Yes,
She's
she's
always
amazing.
moving and doing stuff. She's writing like crazy. Yeah, I love everything she has to say. Yeah, and standing up for herself. That you're the first person who's mentioned that though, because I think she does do a lot of, I mean, obviously writing and speaking, and advocacy. I think is huge. Um, but yeah, but standing up for herself too, like not just trying to advocate for other people, but advocating for herself, even when it was awkward and it didn't turn out very well, really. Um, so yeah, that's huge way to set an example. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I love that you are sort of taking on that mantle and saying, well, from my little corner of the world, I'm going to try and be that person for other people. So you've got this. Tell us more about the women's club you have there locally.
Yeah,
How'd it
it's
get started?
so this was bringing up Todd Wolf. This was part of the expansion of just chess in general that we've been talking about a lot recently. And because he travels around so much to schools and like talks to a lot of parents and teachers, he kind of saw this need of you know maybe girls who had showed up to a tournament and like didn't have a great time, or girls who like wanted
Mm,
to come to tournaments and like didn't have any friends to go with them type of thing, and so they didn't want to go. And so that kind of created this need of like, I think a big problem from what I understand when girls drop out around that like adolescent, like 12, 13 area,
hmm.
is because they're missing that like community aspect, and they don't have if they don't have friends in chess, like what's the point of like going and continuing to play chess if it's not going to be fun?
Yeah,
So the idea was basically just like create a safe space where girls can come and like play this game that they like, make friends, and then potentially like if there's tournaments in the future, they would want to go to tournaments because they know they will have friends there. But the main thing is just to get the girls like into the game, like liking the game. That's like the first step basically to keep girls in chess is like you kind of have to like the game first.
sure.
So just making a fun space for them to enjoy the game. So yeah, we just do it at a local coffee shop. I guess it's a coffee and ice cream shop. The girls usually get the ice cream. I usually get a coffee. But yeah, and then we just sit around and play games and chat, and we did it once a month for we did it some in the fall semester. We did it once a month in the spring semester. Um, we made friendship bracelets on the last day in May, and yeah, it was a great
That's
time.
amazing. I
It was
love
super
it.
fun.
No, I love it. And now they have some chess friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's huge. Did you have the same group of girls come in every time?
There was it was a very small group, I'll say, because like I said, we were just a small, chess community in general, so it was
Sure.
usually under 10. But there was a core group I think that would show up basically every time, and then every once in a while we'd have some newcomers that would come once or twice and
Mm.
just kind of have this continuous, you know, I don't want to say turnover, but just people trying it out basically, and if they have time they can come, and if they don't they can come the next month.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't think we should be pressuring people to play. It's not for everybody. I mean, I
Yeah.
teach at a school, an after school club, and I've got a well, I'm thinking of one girl in particular who is just she's not really made for chess. It's not going to be her thing. She likes coming to the club because her friends are there and we have a good time. But she's a dancer. She's going to go dance, and great for her. That's what she loves. That's great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think turnover is a bad thing. I mean, I don't think it's bad at all. What kind of things are you doing to make it fun for kids?
I think the ice cream helps a lot. I think that's
It
step one.
does. Sure.
Yeah, and there's various things. I think a lot of times it's just the idea of, like, allowing them time to, like, play other kids, because if they a lot of them will learn how to play, like, at home with their parents or whatever, or with their siblings, and they get bored of just playing with their siblings, and so just the idea of, like, having other kids to play with and being able to, like, chat and, like, meet other people, um, that's a big part of it, and then, we also do, like, variants, like, we taught them how to play Bug House, which is always a big hit. There's Todd has, like, a big, like, one of those big garden chess sets that are, like, giant pieces that he uses
Oh,
at
with
a lot of
the yeah.
clubs. Yeah. Yep, you have
Those are
to
fun.
lift him up. We didn't bring that to the girls' club, but that's just an example of how he does it with, like, the other clubs that he runs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think a lot of it is just, like, giving them the space to be able to play games with other kids. That's and if they can do that and they can laugh together and they can be goofy with the pieces and, like, battle them on the board or whatever, and then, it doesn't have to be completely serious and like a classical chess tournament. Like, it can just be fun in a coffee shop and trash
Yeah.
talking and all.
I love it. No, that's great, and I think working with kids is fun. I mean, I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it's probably not for everybody, but I think it's so just rewarding and fulfilling. So yeah, I'm with you there, and props to you because that's how you grow the game, right? Get more people in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you started your channel and it has gotten pretty big. I checked earlier today, and you're just uh, about 34,000 subscribers. So congratulations, that's huge.
Thank you.
Has it been like, I mean, you said you've enjoyed it more than not, but um, yeah, I mean, how has it gone? Like, have you had help? Have people been cool? Are you getting a lot of trolls in the comments? How's it
Yeah,
going?
it's again, it's generally very good, and again, it has to be or I wouldn't keep doing it. So that first video that I posted about my journey to 2000, that got a lot of views very quickly, which I was not anticipating because it was my first ever video on that channel. And so I did have plans from there to continue with the content, but that the fact that I just suddenly had a lot of eyes on me was like, "Oh, I guess I should probably do that sooner rather than later." So, I do edit all my own videos. I do, like, script and, like, it's all me, basically. Don't
Yeah.
I don't have any help with it, which is I like doing that. It's I kind of have the mindset of, like, well, nobody could do it like I do, so I just do it myself.
You have a vision. Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. But of course, they don't all take as much editing as that first one did because they're not all like, YouTube documentary style videos. They're a lot more just me sitting down in front of the computer and making sure that I am talking like a normal person. Uh, and
Yes.
then, cutting out the blank spaces where I'm just like zoning out. But anyway, yeah, it's been great. The comments, I think I'm very strict because I think that is the one place where I have experienced more negativity than like any other space in chess. And I get that it is kind of expected because I am putting my face out there. Like it's kind of inherently that it's an inherent expectation, I think, when you put your face on the internet that people are going to think that it's okay to comment on your face or on your body or on, some part of you.
Mm,
Um, so I think that's more of a larger problem with like the anonymous nature of the internet than with like the chess community. And my ban hammer is very strong. So if there are, like I said, it's a family friendly channel. So if there's any kind of like weird comments or like sexual comments at all, like you don't really get a second chance on my channel. Like you just go away. Like I don't have to hang out with you. You kind of ruined it for yourself. So that's been my philosophy from the beginning, and I think I had the most bans when was first starting out, just because it was like, I didn't have any before that. So being able to just curate that community over the last couple of years, and then I think it's a lot of like self-policing at this point in the comments. So it
yeah.
it rarely really happens anymore. But yeah, whether it's on YouTube or on Twitch, it's just kind of like a, yep, nope, you don't get to hang out with me. I know that I'm, like I said, my face is out there. I know that. But the content is not about what I look like. The content is about the chess. So like, if you're not going to comment about the chess, I really don't want to hear about it. We can have good discussions about the chess itself because it's an educational channel.
Mhm.
And that's just the community that I've curated, and I'm fairly happy with that. Even though, in the long run, if I theoretically, if I ban enough people, my views might start going down or something. But it's kind of the price I'm willing to pay just to have a good community.
No, and let me support you with that because I think it's the right call because it keeps things positive. I mean, even someone who is not coming to the channel to be negative, reading negative comments maybe is sort of like, ugh, I don't want to be here. And it has nothing to do with the presenter and only to do with the comments. So yeah, I think it's great. And um, you're not hurting for viewers. And I think you may actually even get more viewers by keeping it positive. So yeah, I don't know. Let me just validate all of that for you. And and it sucks you have to deal with it. I mean, I'm sorry. Mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you just kind of have to get used to when you're willingly, like I said, putting yourself out on the internet. So, but I do appreciate the sympathy. It used to hurt a little bit more, but you kind of develop a thick skin after a while, and like I said, it's not something that I deal with too much anymore because I pretty much just banned them all. I think they're all gone. That's what I tell myself.
They're all yeah, yeah. Well, and a lot of them may not even be real people to begin with. I mean, there's so many bots out there nowadays who are just
I know.
yeah, and I don't know. So what I tell myself is that either it's a bot or an idiot, and either way, you know,
Right. Don't need to
they're
deal with them either
don't
way.
need to deal with them. So what's your future look like? I mean, I assume you're gonna keep doing the channel and hopefully grow to, 1 million subscribers. But what about your playing? I mean, I know you're competing. Do you have any rating goals? Are you working with a coach?
Yeah, so my focus after I reached my, milestone on my chess.com account, I've continued to play on there and like get my other time controls up to 2000 and beyond, but my main goal now is my over the board chess. So I play
Mhm.
USCF rated tournaments in my area. There are not a lot of FIDE rated tournaments, so whenever people come into my comments and ask if I what's your FIDE rating, I'm like, I don't have one yet because I'm not good enough to play in the upper sections where they are FIDE rated. But anyway, my next goal is my USCF getting to 2000. I'm currently just under 1800, I believe. I was really close to hitting 1800, and then I had a couple of meh tournaments. So we're getting there slowly but surely.
Yeah.
And then yeah, beyond that, I think like I would love to become a title player someday. I'd love to get to national master. I think that's like realistically within reach at a certain point.
Mhm.
Which is 2200. But I always have to take those kind of long term goals like one step at a time. And so of course right now I'm like, well now I just want to be 1800, and my
Mhm.
more long term goal is 2000. Then my really long term goal is 2200. So just kind of taking it in the small steps. Playing like I wrote down last year for my like yearly goals was just like play as many tournaments as I can because
Mhm.
I was having some trouble because my local tournaments often are shorter time controls, which I don't like because I want to think more.
Yeah.
um, and so I made it a goal that it's like if there's a tournament that is within driving distance within my budget, I will just play in it, and that helped to rocket my rating up a little bit and just kind of pedal to the metal type of thing, just playing as much as I
Yeah.
possibly can, traveling when I need to. And yeah, I don't have a consistent coach right now. I've had occasional coaching sessions with people both online, and then, occasionally there will be like a master that is like in town that I've had a session with, and potentially we'll be getting more consistent sessions with this person. But uh mainly just doing it myself, and yeah, trying my best to learn from my own games and study the things I need to study and just keep on climbing.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think making the goal as play as much as I can versus get to a certain rating is probably smart. I mean, process-oriented goals versus results-oriented. That's
Yeah.
smart. Well, I mean, I'm cheering for you. So keep on going. That's great. And I think, I
Thanks.
mean, yeah, I mean, you're pretty much, knocking on the door of 1800, I think 22. I mean, it's a big goal and it's going to be really
Yes.
hard, but you're young and it's not like you're starting from zero. Like you got plenty of time. Um, so on my channel, we talk all about gender equity in chess, and we've touched on it a little bit, but let me ask you this. So, women's titles. Speaking of titles, women's sections. What are your feelings on them? Should they exist?
Yes. So this is a tough one for me. I think
It's
there's a
tough.
lot of
It's tough
yeah.
for everybody. It's not an easy question.
Oh yeah, of course. And I'm coming to this as somebody who's relatively new to chess. Like I only started playing 5 years ago, so I'm not somebody who grew up playing it, didn't grow up in the culture. I still often feel kind of like an outsider with these issues just because I don't necessarily have all that background. But with all that being said, um, in my ideal world, there are no gender separated titles or tournaments.
Hmm.
Um, I recognize that that is not the world we live in, and I recognize that there's not a perfect path to get there, which is why it's really tricky to talk about because I think the paths to get there will involve concessions for there's no perfect way to do it basically. Um
Mm.
and my reasoning is that part of my reasoning is it's really difficult to explain women's titles to people outside of chess. And
Yeah.
even within the chess world there's a lot of confusion around them. And so, you know, the amount of conversations I've had with like family and friends like explaining, well, you know, yes, women's titles are 200 points lower, but that doesn't mean that women are inherently worse at chess. And like to like have to explain this whole like societal and historical background is like it's so annoying. Like just to be completely frank.
It is.
Um, so that's kind of the end point is that like I just don't think there should be any separation. Um, and I as far as like tournaments, like I live in an area where there's so few active female players that I've only ever played in open tournaments because there's just not an option to have
Hmm.
a female section or just like a women's tournament. And even when I travel to bigger tournaments, I still just like to play in the open sections because I like the idea of just being able to play in those bigger sections. They usually have a larger number of people, wider variety of players. I like being in the bigger room basically. Um, and then but when it comes to like kids, the concern that I have is that like separated or segregated tournaments, gender segregated tournaments, may make it seem that chess is like every other physical sport that is separated by gender. And
Hmm.
so when parents are like bringing their kids to chess tournaments, they might get the wrong impression that like all tournaments are separated like this because there's an inherently different skill level, which is just not the case. Um, and even if they come to a more like nuanced understanding of it later, if that is their starting point, then it can be difficult to like just change what you understand about the whole system.
Hmm.
At the same time, though, I understand that, like, for some parents, they might just feel more comfortable sending their little chess prodigy girls into the playing hall with other girls and women rather than, like, the, stinky old men in the other room. Like, I get that it's a comfort and safety thing for a lot of girls and a lot of women who, like, have experienced harassment at tournaments. So I don't think the solution is necessarily to just take them away entirely. Going back to titles, I think that it's a similar thing, like, growing up, kids if you're told that, little girls, when you grow up, you can be, like, a woman grandmaster, and just unconsciously, they get this idea that it's limiting themselves, it's putting a ceiling on what they can ultimately strive for.
Hmm.
Of course, anybody with a title is, like, in the upper echelon of players, so I'm not trying to, like, bash like, anybody who has taken any woman's title, like, they're way better than me, I'll say that.
And me.
Yeah, so the solution I don't think is to, like, take those titles away. I think part of the solution might be to introduce more titles that like more open titles, and then like maybe slowly shifting the requirements for the women's titles until they become more obsolete. I
Mm,
don't know what the timeline on that looks like. I don't know if if that's like even possible in our current like society or community. But like I think a title for like hitting a 2000 FIDE rating would be amazing. And that would encourage everybody, not just women, to like strive for that higher level of play because it's like it's the lowest ladder rung that you can like just kind of reach, and that will help them to like climb to even higher levels. So yeah, I think introducing more open titles would be amazing, and then also maybe I could get an open title. Like it makes me excited because it's like, oh, it's like right there. um, but yeah, overall, I would love it if the world had not gone down this path of the gender separation in chess, but that is not the world we live in. And yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the path looks like to get there.
right. Yeah, and I mean, I wish I did too. Honestly, part of the reason I created this project is just to talk to as many people as I could about this exact question, and maybe someone's got a good idea that no one's thought of, or maybe we're all sort of like on the same page and we didn't realize it. And yeah, we can sort of slowly move, because I agree. I think it was, well, it's like anything in human history. It's like, we've managed to screw up plenty of things, and we're and here we are today
Yeah.
trying to fix them. I usually ask people, if you had a magic wand and you could use it to fix or change anything in chess, what would it be? And I think, I mean, already you mentioned more open titles, and I think it's a great idea. I mean, in the US, we've got National Master, which you will be someday, and we sort of have like expert, but yeah, having more open FIDE titles, I think it's a great idea. Yeah. Anything else that you would do if if you were just in charge and you could just poof and make it happen?
Yeah, the more titles thing I think is a great one. I think another I mean there's a lot of frustrating things in chess that are kind of like you were saying, is like these very complex systems that have been created that would just be so complicated to change. And again, it's like what do you mean is the route to get there? I think one that is like I think the solution is so simple. And it probably is more complicated than I'm thinking. But just having harsher uh, disciplinary actions for people who have created unsafe environments at chess tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I can think of a few high profile players who have displayed violent tendencies at tournaments or who have like stalked and harassed people in a very public way, and they get these very like slap on the wrist type of punishments for it, which I think is just pathetic. Like I think a couple months of not being able to play in tournaments is just like a laughable thing for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of these cases. And of course there's for a huge majority of them, I'm sure there's more nuance. But for a lot of the more like the ones that have made the news, it's like really like that's all you're gonna get, and then these victims still have to feel unsafe or like not want to go to tournaments where this person is at. um yeah, it's like it makes me think like, well, no wonder a lot of women don't feel safe going to tournaments. So my solution to this is, I think, first of all, the official reporting process I understand is very like convoluted or like difficult to get to. So I think it needs to be made easier to access both for national federations and for like FIDE.
Mm-hmm.
And then the alleged perpetrator can get their day in court or get their say in front of the committee. But I think so many of them have multiple witnesses, and in those cases, I think the punishments just need to be longer bans from tournament play.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those who aren't active, like stripping them of their titles, or maybe there's some other punishment that I haven't thought of, but like in some way, really discouraging these kind of actions and removing those people basically from the community so that it is safer for the people who um, are victims in those cases, and for everybody, I think. And then I think those kind of sanctions would also just discourage other people from like even attempting to do similar things. So it would just make tournament environments safer all around. So yeah, that is the one where I'm like, I feel like this is just so simple. We just need to do harsher punishments for these people so that we can have safer environments. I don't know.
No, I love it. A real life banhammer.
Yes.
And yeah, no, I think I agree. I think it is pretty simple. I think it would just take someone in leadership that had a backbone and was willing to say, no, the buck stops here.
Yes.
Um, Transparency, I think, is also something that I think could help. I don't know if it's a good analogy, but when I was in the army, anytime someone would get um, non-judicial punishment, and Article 15 is basically like you get in trouble, right? You did something wrong, you get in trouble. Anytime it would
Yep.
happen, um, this wasn't in every unit, but there were some units that they would make a copy of it and post a copy of someone's punishment on the bulletin board so everybody could see.
Oh, wow.
It was sort of like a wall of shame kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and and I mean that's the army. I don't know if we should do everything like that, but I think I agree with you. There should be definitely, I mean, if you're going to try and discourage something, then discourage it and don't just pretend to discourage it. Yeah, and I also want to agree with you that it's not just for the victims that we do this, it's for everybody because I guarantee the people who are acting like this are not just making one person uncomfortable, and they're not just making women uncomfortable, they're making everybody uncomfortable. Like someone who cannot control themselves, they've got to go. So again, like let me ask you about the future. Like you optimistic about the future of chess? Are you pessimistic?
I think I lean towards optimism, or I try to. And the times when I'm most pessimistic about the chess world in general is when I think I spend too much time scrolling through Twitter because I think again it's the online thing. There's people who are able to say things behind their anonymous username that they hopefully would never say to somebody in person. And I think it frustrates me when people like misunderstand like the history of, going back to your entire project, the history of women in chess and like why it is still not a perfect system and like all of these things. And I think a lot of time it's like willful ignorance, like they're just trying to be uh contrary. And
Yeah.
so those kinds of people make me pessimistic. But I think when I'm with real people is where I have the most optimism, because like I think at least the communities that I've been in, like in just in the Midwest going to tournaments,
Hmm.
um I have not like I've not really experienced any like terrible things happening to me at these tournaments. Like I've had just amazing experiences. I feel very welcomed even when I'm in a place where I've never been before. And there's really nothing that I feel uncomfortable like walking into a playing hall with. And I think that is probably different even like from 20 years ago. I think there would be a lot more like just discomfort of being like the only woman in the room. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Like I grew up going to the just little different camps and stuff where I was like the only girl in the room. Like I went to Lego camp. There's no girls at Lego camp. I was the only girl at Lego camp. I went to like a technical camp. I was the only one of like two girls at technical camp.
Mm,
Whatever. And so I've been fine just because of the way I was raised, being like the only woman in the room.
mm.
And so I think like, but still, even I will say with somebody who may not inherently feel as comfortable just like walking in and being the person who sticks out like a sore thumb, I think for the vast majority of chess players are like much more open to having anybody at their tournaments and being friendly and like welcoming them into the group or like having good conversations with them after the game. I think those like interpersonal interactions are some of the best parts of chess, where you play a game against an
Yeah.
opponent and then you're able to take it over to the Skittles room and analyze it together. And it's just two human beings sitting across the board from each other and talking about the game they love. So those are the parts that make me really optimistic about the future of chess, because I think that is just going to continue to happen more and more, I hope.
I think you're right. And this is a distinction I hadn't really made before, but yeah, I think being online just ruins a lot of things. I think the two-dimensional nature of it, the anonymous nature of it. I mean, I guess I would call them trolls in the comments. I mean, they're luckily no one so far has talked about my appearance or anything like that. But I get a lot of willful ignorance is a good way to put it. Like I have a belief and I don't care that you're presenting me evidence that it's wrong. I'm just going to keep believing it, and I have no interest in learning anything new.
Yeah.
Um, And I
which is
think
so frustrating.
it's so frustrating. And I mean, it's in the U.S. right now, we see a lot of these people, not just in chess, in the whole country,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, but then in person, it reminded me of a Brene Brown quote that I really like. She says, "It's hard to hate people up close."
Mm,
And she wasn't talking about chess, but she was, I don't remember what she was talking about. But I mean, I think, we are in such a polarized world right now, especially in the US again.
yes.
And you see this, I don't know if you've been following the World Cup. It's been going on right now. There are a bunch of videos going around socials of people who are coming from outside the U.S. Coming to visit for the World Cup and just having a great time and meeting Americans, and they're getting along, and it's been really nice and like a real pleasant surprise that I'm
Yeah.
seeing, okay, Americans in all different parts of the country are really just like being friendly and welcoming to
Yeah.
people who are clearly not American. And it's funny because with all of the discourse, with like immigration, we that's a completely different way that we talk online usually about people who are not American. And yet these people who are not American come and we like are besties.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think making the distinction between the online versus the in-person sort of worlds of chess also makes a lot of sense, because it's hard to hate people up close and it's easy to get along, especially if you are playing a game.
Yeah,
S-
absolutely. You have the shared interest that I think, yeah, makes everybody just a little bit more human, which is, yeah, amazing in today's very divided world, I will say.
yeah, no, I think it's great. So let me ask you about fitness, because I know, and I don't remember when it was, but you were running. Did you run a 5K or a 10K or something? And that was part of a. It wasn't really chess related, but it was sort of like it'll help with my overall, health and also my chess.
Yes, I ran my first ever 5K. I have never been a runner, and I was really slow, but I got it done.
Nice job.
Um, yes, I've actually since then, unfortunately, I had a bit of a knee, injury, and so I haven't been running in the last couple of weeks or months or so since I did that, basically, and then I had some travel and yada things happen. But yeah, I've especially during the summer months here when it's actually nice out and not, like, snowing and 40 below, I do like to get outside. I love getting fresh air. I just this afternoon before we had this interview, I went for a bike ride just to, like, get some fresh air, get the brain moving type of thing. And yeah, I think that I've heard so many people talk about how, like, fitness is, like, so important just to keep your brain sharp, like, it helps out a lot with that. And I will add that although I'm not a very sporty person, like I said, I could barely run a 5K, and then I basically just, like, go for bike rides during the summer, and that's about the extent of my fitness, but it definitely does help when I come home after I've been more active or after I've gotten some fresh air. It does help, with the chess if I'm playing in the evenings, so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, pumping more oxygen to your brain. I follow the chess dojo guys, and Jesse Cry, I feel like every time he opens his mouth, he's talking about fitness. I mean, you got to do it just to be an adult and be healthy, but it's also really good for your chest. So, especially in longer games, right? Um,
For
yeah,
sure.
so that's great, and that's not something that I've seen a lot of YouTubers talk about related to their chess. I mean, some of the top players, I know Magnus runs, but yeah, I know it's like starting to become more common to talk about, and so I think that's really smart of you to do.
Yeah, and I think the 5K specifically was interesting because it was a goal that I had set for myself, and a lot of my first ever video was about this rating goal that I set for myself, and so it was just interesting to, like, kind of challenge myself in that way again to, like, achieve something that I wasn't sure at the beginning I could even get to,
Yeah,
and being able to kind of, like, put the chess mindset into, like, another activity in life and follow through a good training plan and things like that, and like slowly work up to that milestone that I wanted to get to, like whether it is the 2000 rating or running a 5K. So yeah, it's just it's interesting to kind of go back and forth of saying like, okay, these fitness goals are very similar actually to the mental goals that I have in chess. So
I think it's great, and I think it's a really smart thing to be talking about as someone who's a teacher and a leader, because people are going to be following you, and they're going to say, "Well, wait a second, like I could make a goal about anything in my life." And I think a lot. I know people in my own life who have said, I used to travel quite a lot, and they say, "Oh, you're so lucky to have done that." I said, "It's not luck. You just make a plan and you do it. Like there's no luck."
right,
And so, yeah, I think same thing with a 5K. It's like, yeah, no, it wasn't luck. I just made a plan and I executed, you know? Um, yeah, so I think just kind of waking people up to their own power is inspiring to say, hey, people, like you can do it too. Just make a plan and
right.
follow the plan.
Yes, exactly. Putting it I think the thing people trip up on is that you actually have to put in the work to get there. Like, I think a lot of people like to make the goal, but they don't necessarily like to, like, map out the actual steps to get there, and I think if you're if you're willing to put in that kind of work in chess, I think it can apply to other things in your life. Just,
Hmm.
setting aside the time basically to, like, say that I want to achieve this goal, and I want it badly enough that I will spend multiple hours of my life in order to get there. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that uncomfortable middle part between the fun of planning and the fun of achieving is the
Yes,
tough
that's the
tough
hard
part.
part.
So you've got the YouTube channel, which is going crazy, and congrats. You're streaming on Twitch. How often do you stream?
It's been less often. I usually stream about once a month, I'll say.
Okay.
And I might be trying to do it a little bit more. We'll kind of see. I recently just finished grad school, so I'm hopefully gonna have some more time, but
Yeah, I meant
we'll
to talk
see.
to you about that. Harvard. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
congratulations. And
yeah,
creative
thanks.
writing. Yeah, so you're a writer.
Yeah.
What are you working on anything fun?
Um, yes, there's a project I can't really talk about right now, but
Okay.
I write novels mainly. And so yeah, I've since I was younger, I've always had going back to these goals. I've always
Mhm.
loved writing books, and every time I have a new book idea, it's like setting another goal basically. You got to put in the work, sit down, plot it out,
Mhm.
and then actually write all the words, all the thousands and thousands and thousands of words. And then, then you have the hard part of like going back and editing and all these things. So anyway, yeah, the Harvard extension experience was so amazing. It did give me less time to work on my chess. So I'm hoping now that grad school is over and I don't have homework anymore, that my homework time will slowly be filled up with my chess studying time, and hopefully I'll be able to make some strides there. But yeah,
Yeah,
I was able to meet so many great people through that program. It was super fun.
that's fantastic. Well, yeah, you'll have a lot of time to study chess until you get your book deal, and then you have to write your trilogy, and then you'll be
Right.
writing again, and then your chess will go down. You'll never
Yeah.
have time to study your end games or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, that's very exciting. I'm sure lots of people will are wondering what it is, and hopefully we'll hear someday. So that's great. You got the YouTube, you got the TikTok. Are you anywhere else
I
online?
have Instagram now that I'm trying to post on more frequently. I also write on Substack,
Okay.
occasionally. That's not super consistent. But yeah, speaking of writing, I often write about the kind of intersection between like creative writing and chess. More so, it's on the chess side of things because that's what most people follow me for. But with my experience doing grad school, it's kind of bringing in both of those things that I'm really obsessed with. So yeah, that one has been fun. Let's see, Substack,
Yeah.
Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky,
Okay.
and I think and Twitter. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay.
Those are all my socials.
It's a lot. Gee, it's a lot of work, isn't it? Jeez.
Yes,
It's
to
so
keep it all
much.
up.
Yeah, I'll have to jump over to Substack and check out the stuff there. But I love the idea of the intersection of chess and something else. I've been binging the Chess Feels podcast. I
Oh,
discovered it
yeah.
too late. Yeah, and they talk about mental health a lot because one of the hosts is a therapist, and so they sort of talk about the intersection of chess and that thing. And so I
Mhm.
I think there's a definite market because I mean we all love chess, and I mean everyone who's listening to this probably is a chess player, but none of us are all one thing, and so I think it's nice to be able to expand outside of just our little niche and say, well, how about this other thing? And it touches
Yeah.
other parts of our lives. So you're teaching the club of the young women. That's awesome. Do you take private students? Do you plan on taking private students?
At this point, no. I have in the past. I was helping out Todd Wolf, a couple years ago at this point, but he does do some private lessons with some of the kids in the area.
Hmm.
So I was for a while serving as like a substitute coach. So I would go into these family. A lot of times it's multiple siblings that take lessons, and so I'd go into their house
Hmm.
and do an hour or half an hour with each of the kids, and that was really fun. I think probably like to do that again at some point. At this point, I just don't really have the time. Um, but again, now that grad school's over, maybe I will. But I mainly like to do in person, and so I have not taken on any like adult students or any virtual students at all. I prefer to just like put my content out on YouTube and have it open for everybody.
Well, it's very valuable. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw today you just published a video about conversion, which is something that I've been struggling with, and just had a
Oh,
conversation with
great!
some people because I've been messing up all my conversions, and and so I'm like, oh
Story of my
yay,
life.
yeah. So it's perfect timing. Like, yeah, here comes Cameron with a great. She's gonna help me fix it.
I
I
hope
just
so.
know.
That's so funny because I get off work early on Thursdays, which is when we're recording this, and
Hmm.
I usually the video usually goes out about or it's scheduled for an hour after I get off work, and I was looking at my channel and I was like, I was supposed to have a video edited for today, and so that video came out late because I had to very quickly sit down and edit the entire video in about an hour.
Oh
It did
wow.
not get done in an hour, so it was a little bit late, but yeah, we got it done. So
Yeah, that's so.
that was very
Yeah.
top of mind for me.
Oh well, I'm glad you did. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm so glad I got to talk to you. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to talk about?
I will say, just overall, I think what you were doing with this project and like kicking this off is just like such an excellent idea. I think it's like so needed, and just the idea of like getting stories from people both in like the chess community and like experts in other fields that relate to chess equity is like so amazing. So absolutely props to you for like kicking this off, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you. Me too. And thank you so much for, I mean, lending your aura, uh, great that it is
Absolutely.
to the series. So, yeah,
Yeah,
great
for
talking
sure.
to you. I'm sure we'll talk again.